How's it going, everyone? Derek here. Back on the podcast. We had a pretty busy summer, so we had to take some time off. Just our schedules didn't line up, but we are back in full swing into our first week of in-season. We play Southwest Baptist this week on Saturday. Peyton?
Yeah, good to see you all again. Peyton here. Like Derek said, we had a really busy summer this year with work and football and all our extracurricular stuff around football. So took some time off, but it's good to be back here.
Yep. So for those of you who don't know, I have a company that I run with my dad called Gravel Gods. In the summer, we do landscape, rock work, dirt work, stuff like that. And then Peyton works this out along with me with a couple of our other buddies who we know. I don't know if you know Jaden Guthmiller. He's an athlete who runs track at USD. Dawson Wood, an athlete who plays football at Dickinson State. We've just got a good crew of guys who work hard. So this summer we had a lot of time doing that, and then in the mornings we would spend at 5:30 doing our summer lifting workouts. Peyton, do you want to kind of explain how those go?
Yeah, so our lifting schedule this summer, so pretty much how it works for all athletes in the summer, well, football especially, is May, we get off around the first week of May for school, and then we get about 3 weeks off until June 1st. And on June 1st, we start our lifting. So we have a 5:30 group and a 7 o'clock group in the morning. Me and Derek both went at 5:30, and it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday for 2 months straight. We get the 4th of July week off.
Yep.
But pretty much it's just lifting for the summer. And I don't know how many people, I think we had everybody there but the freshmen this year.
Yep.
So it was really
cool. The 4th of July.
Yep, it was really cool to see that. Seeing your team in the summer, it's not mandatory, but for our team, it is a thing that we feel like you need to be there during the summer.
Yeah. One of the cool things about BH that I've learned, the return rate is really, really good for the athletes that we bring back in the summer. The school I was at before, they didn't have as good of a culture bringing in kids in the summer. One thing that I think BH does well is, like, obviously it's not mandatory to stay in the summer, but everyone wants to, because you can't get better as a team if you're going to stay home and not buy into the culture and get the work in with everybody. And so that's one thing that we've kind of preached over the last couple of years that is really important to the team, is that we can all be together. And like one thing that I was talking to Coach Cook about, our lifting coach, this was a couple months ago before the summer started, but he had mentioned how good teams are teams that buy in and bring everyone in, and a team that's had like a lot of success, like Colorado Mines, they have another high success rate about bringing people back. And so that's something that we're trying to do, because it builds culture, and culture brings wins. So that's something that we've kind of focused on, and I think is really, really special about this team. It's not really a team of guys who came here to like just play football, but we've kind of become more than that in the last couple of weeks, especially for like the freshmen. Like, I feel like I've known them for my whole time that I've been here. We just have gotten a lot closer, and it's just like a band of brothers instead of just
showing up during fall camp.
Yeah, playing football, being on the same team. It's really something special. And so I think that's something that is kind of cool that our program has, that not a lot of programs are able to incorporate in that sort of way.
Yeah, so like adding on to that, like transferring here in the spring, it was really busy, and I was trying to figure out the playbook and stuff, so I was always busy on my own doing stuff. I mean, I was around the team plenty, but I couldn't feel like I could really bond with everybody as much as I could, just because we were always doing some football-wise, like meetings and practice and lifting. But in the summer, when you get to see your boys every morning, I felt like I didn't skip a beat from that. It's not like I didn't see them for a really long time, and it was a cool thing to have a culture come together like that. And like even the freshmen, when they came in the second month, it's not like you just see them for the first time in fall camp. Like they come up to you and they're like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" Like you've seen them the whole time in summer. So it's a cool thing to see that, and just know that our team is going to be 100% committed to that. So that was really cool to see this summer.
Yeah. So besides that, finishing up the summer, we just got done with our fall camp. For those of you who don't know what fall camp is, it's like a 3-week period before your first game, where we really just, your world revolves around football. You're there in the morning for your breakfast, there for practice, Got meetings, film, and then walkthroughs, and then you do breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So it's a really busy time, but it's super important to be focused during that time. And so we just finished up with that on Saturday. We had a little pregame walkthrough and finished up our fall ball like that. And so today we start our first day of in-season practice, so we get into the real swing of things. This morning we had tempo runs, which is just a little stretch workout that we do every week before the week starts to get us in our minds right. But how'd your fall camp go, Peyton?
It was really good. I felt like when I first got here, obviously I didn't know what to expect when I first got here. Playbook was really overwhelming when I first got here. I was studying it a lot, and there's just things there's so much information like flying at you. You're just overwhelmed with everything. But once I saw it a second time in fall camp, it really started clicking. And the nice thing about fall camp is it's football every day for 16 days straight, right?
Something like that.
So,
yeah.
14, 16 days.
Two off days, which they're off days because we don't have practice or lift, but we still have to be there for meetings and lunch and stuff.
But like I was saying, those meetings, you're in there for an hour and a half and you're watching film, you're going over installs. So it'll take you through a day in it. So for me, Derek's is a little different because he's a punter, but for like every skill position, every player besides special teams. So we're there at 7:00 for breakfast, and we have mandatory weigh-ins. So we do weigh-ins because they've done studies that if you lose a certain amount of like a percentage of your body weight, there's a lot of soft tissue issues that you can get into. So we were required to make weight every morning. So we'd go there, eat breakfast, then we'd have a 7:45 elite teams meeting, which is our special teams. Then right after that, we'd have our position meetings right before practice for about 30-45 minutes. And then we'd go out to practice at 9:00. We'd practice from about 9 to 11:30, 12. Then we go straight to the cafeteria for lunch. Then I'd say on the days we didn't have lifting, we could come back at 3.
Yeah,
right?
We get a little break.
Yeah.
Go home, kick back for a bit, which is nice.
Get a little break. So those were the days without lifting. With the lifting days, we'd come back at 2, have a little team meeting, and then we'd go to lifting. So the offense would lift while the defense is in their meetings for an hour. Then you'd flip-flop. You'd go to your meetings for another hour. Then you go back to dinner. Then after dinner, you'd come back for another meeting, which was your install meeting for the next day. So we'd just install, we had 10 installs this year for our playbook. So you'd go over and install. Then right after install is about an hour. You'd go to your walkthrough, and that would take about till 8:30. Go home, do some recovery, and then go to sleep, wake up, and do it all over again. So, yeah.
It's a good day. Like Peyton said, I have a little bit of a luxury that some people would say. As a specialist, or at BH, we call ourselves elite teams. We don't say special teams because we kind of preach that elite teams, which in most cultures is special teams, is 1/3 of the game, just like offense and defense. So we prioritize all 3 parts of the game, not just offense, defense, and then, hey, we'll get through elite teams. We really, really preach for that group to stand out. A big thing that we've lost 2 of our games in the last 2 years was because we had maybe a missed tackle or just a bad day overall at elite teams. And so it's really an important part of our game this year that we're going to focus on being hopefully the best in the ARMRAC at. So it'll allow us to not have those games where something slips away just because of one bad play that we had on elite teams. We just don't take a play off. But going off that, as an elite teams player, our days are similar in a sense, but we don't have those separate meetings, which allows us to kind of have a little bit more off time. But what we have done the last 3 years, me, our long snapper Tony Rosenstraw, and then our other kicker Ryan Ewing, we always go to the gym, shoot around, play hoops. We stay at the Young Center. We don't go home because it's kind of pointless. We've got that hour gap where it's awkward. Or if we go home, we're going to have to come back in 20 minutes. So we'll just go hang out, shoot hoops. And, we kind of get looks from everyone. And they're like, dang, these guys got it so nice. But in reality, it's the same thing. You're still there. Yeah, it is what it is. We're still there. And it's like, they always say, I wish I was an elite teams player. I'm like, until you're in that position, it's a lot of stress once you're out on the field. You get one play to to make it like, if you screw up, you screw up. You get one shot. But on offense and defense, you know, you've got three guaranteed plays on offense and defense. You know,
Yeah.
you take a play off, maybe you'll get lucky, but that's just kind of the luxury that we have, is that we don't have to necessarily sit to those meetings. But everything else we do the same. We do the lunch, practices, lifts, all that stuff. So it's a lot of stress on your body, but overall it's good, and it gets you in the shape for season. And I think it's a good Kickstarter to getting your schedule right for the school year, because once you start the school year, you stick to a strict schedule. We've got lifting on Tuesdays and Wednesdays during the school year, plus classes. And so there's 3 different lifting groups that we have, and I just think that it is a good introduction to starting that schedule back up, because sometimes in the summer, not everyone works a job, so they kind of get into that
Like a habit.
that habit of just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna wake up, go to lift, go home, sleep the whole day. If we have optional practice that night, I'll go. But I think once we start that fall camp, it becomes a job. Obviously, we're on scholarship to play football and be a student athlete. So we go to those. We have classes and practice. We got to be there. So I think it's a good way for us to get into that swing of things before school starts. And I think that's kind of like a little upper hand that we have on just a regular student at the school. How do you feel about that, Peyton?
Yeah, so fall camp definitely got me in a schedule. I was in a routine. You know, you want to go home, play your PlayStation a little bit after every night, but honestly, I didn't touch mine for the whole time we were in fall camp. I just got into such a routine, and after those long days, practice, all those meetings, I think honestly the worst part about fall camp isn't the practice at all. It's like you get there, you're locked in for practice, but then you get to the end of the day and you're exhausted, and you're like, all right, I gotta sit through this meeting and pay attention, because if you don't focus during meetings, you're gonna be lost for the next practice, because that is what sets you up for it. So those meetings, some of them, like day 8, 9, 10, like getting towards the later part of the camp, you're like, okay, just let me sit here. I need to lock in for just this hour, and then it's going to be done. But
Yeah.
that schedule that it got me on, it prepared me for school, because my Monday, Wednesday, Fridays are pretty busy. I don't have class on Tuesday, Thursdays, but I still obviously have football. But those Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, I got 4 classes of meetings, lifting, and practice all together. But to me, it's still less than a fall camp day, and it has fall camp has obviously prepared me for that. So it's nice to get into a routine like that, and I enjoy it. So
Yeah. So another thing about fall camp, the food so in the morning we wake up and we weigh in, and then after that they've got the same breakfast we do every day, except for we have 2 hot breakfast days, but
which are fire.
yeah,
they're good.
Yep. So the coaches will bring out all the Blackstone grills, flat tops, and they'll make breakfast sandwiches for everyone. They're super good, but typically what we'll get throughout the day, in the morning we'll do muffin, bagel. You can do cream cheese, strawberry cream cheese. There might be a different one, I can't remember. Fruit, banana, yogurt, applesauce, and then they usually do a Gatorade with a bunch of salt in it. The reason behind that is because salt helps store the water in your body, so it'll keep you hydrated throughout the day, especially at practice when it's getting super hot and you're sweating, losing all that weight. And then we'll go cafeteria food for lunch and then dinner. How do you feel about cafeteria food? I personally love it. I wish I had a meal swipes. I was thinking about paying for some meal swipes just because of the convenience of it. I love it.
It's tough to say. So what my freshman year in Chadron, I absolutely hated the cafeteria there. It just feels like it's monotonous, like the same thing over and over again, and you're trying to gain weight, so you're eating a lot of food, and you're just like, oh, I just don't want to do this. Then you go out, spend money, and then you're like, okay, well, I can't keep doing that every day because it adds up. But BH cafeteria kind of impressed me for fall camp. I mean, they obviously do it a little better because they don't have as many people to feed during the day because school's not in session. But I thought it was pretty good. They always had a good section of chicken and rice over and on that far right section over there. And then there was always a different variety. They have a sandwich bar that they make whatever sandwich you want and stuff like that. So I didn't think it was too bad, and it's all you could eat. pretty much whatever you wanted. So I didn't think, I thought it was pretty good for the time being. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
So
I have no complaints. I love it. Last year, my girlfriend, she was a sophomore, so she had meal swipes, and she only eat 2 meals a day. So she had an extra one every day. I'd go in, use her meal swipe, and eat, because I love the cafeteria. People think I'm crazy, but I love going in there and just eating for hours. It's so good for whatever reason. But yeah, so that's kind of what sums up fall camp. So we just adopted a new rule, and I want to say it was Division II overall, yeah. To where we were able to incorporate a bye week into our schedule. Beforehand, we weren't. It was just a Division I thing. So they may have games the first 2 weeks of the year, and then week 4 they may have a bye. This year, Division II finally incorporated that into its schedules and allowed it. So it's considered week 0. We were going to switch a game, I believe, is what we had talked about, but it ended up kind of falling through. And so our week 0 game ended up being our bye. So we're going into our week 1, which then we'll just have 11 straight weeks, and then playoffs proceed after that. If we're fortunate enough to make the playoffs this year, which that's one of our goals. So we kind of,
it kind of, I don't know, it kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's kind of nice because like we're gonna go straight into it, and like we'll never skip a beat. But we kind of wanted to also see what it would be like to, week 7 we have a bye, right in that middle time of season where our bodies are, it's over and over and over, and maybe give it an extra. What is that? You'd get 13 days till the next game for it to heal. So it's kind of in that weird spot where we're like, well, I mean, it'll just be like last year. It's what we're used to.
Yeah, we haven't experienced it yet. So
maybe next year they'll be able to incorporate that into a week 0 bye, or like a week 7 bye, and put a game at week 0, and so they can do that. But there was a couple week 0 RMAC games that happened. I think Tech and Pueblo played. Shattern played Kearney. Highlands played Eastern New Mexico.
Yep.
Fort Lewis played William Jewell.
Yep. And I think the rest of the RMAC had off.
Yeah. So I think the only RMAC school that won was Pueblo, and they beat another RMAC school. But I think all the other RMAC schools ended up losing their games. Pueblo looked pretty good, but it's pretty cool to see that we're adopting these new rules that we're able to also do same like Division I. Another rule that we just adopted, the sideline review. So after every play, we'll have a live camera up recording our game feed, and then we'll have iPads on the sideline giving us live footage. And then after every play, we'll be able to review. So whether on defense or offense, you can go back, check what covers they're running, and see like if halftime we want to make adjustments, or on offense we want to make adjustments while we're in a drive. It's kind of cool to see that we're adopting some of those more new style rules, and that it's being brought down to hopefully in the future all levels of football, and not just Division I, Division II, but maybe NAI and D3 and JUCO even.
Yep.
But how do you feel about that? Do you think it's going to like improve, or do you think it's going to like kind of be tougher on offenses because defenses are going to be able to see plays back
before they happen too?
Right. Because they'll see like what coverage what like formation you're in, and be able to run it back.
I think it'll be a cool incorporation. It's definitely get some taken used to, because you don't just want to be like, well, I saw them the last time on the iPad that they were in this, so I'm going to assume this is what they're in. Right. Like, you still got to obviously know what you're going to do and read your keys, but I think it's going to be a pretty cool incorporation for the quarterbacks, especially.
Yeah.
They have so much stuff that they got to read, in a split second. And I think if they're able to see that from the sideline and have coaching, a little headset on and the sideline, and have the iPads with the coaches, I think it'll really honestly be a stepping stone for them. Right. Just in the fact that they're able to see, because when you're stuck in that pocket in there behind the offensive line, you can't see what's going on throughout the whole play. And then once you see on film from like an overhead shot, I think it'll be a cool incorporation for them, and it'll probably you'd be able to like be more strategically like plan stuff out in further drives instead of just kind of guessing stuff just from what the coaches are seeing. So I think it's a cool thing. And then like you're saying, for defenses, if they see formations and keys and stuff like that, they will be able to, react to it quicker. Right. I think it's a pretty cool idea. And shout out Connor Boyd's dad. He bought him for us, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Connor Boyd, he's a sixth-year senior this year. He plays receiver. His dad was we were fortunate enough to have his dad donate the money for our iPads and everything.
Yep. That's really cool.
Yeah,
so
it was super awesome.
We appreciate that. So it'd be a good thing for us.
Yep. Yep. So, where was I going from that? So, with that being said, you're talking about the quarterbacks, Doobie coming in. So we got a new transfer quarterback. His name's Luke Doobie. He's from Cornell. He's a great guy. He's our new starting quarterback. Peyton, you're firsthand with him all the time.
Yeah. Luke, so he's a transfer from Cornell. First met him when he came here in the summer, and he's he's a likable guy. Like, teammate wise, like when I first met him, he was up talking to everybody. It's just a really good guy, and I think just him coming here and not having I don't know how to say it, like a big ego on himself, and just knowing that he's like, I'm going to be here to help the team no matter what. It was really cool to see that. He was at every single summer practice. He worked every day at the campus, and he was at lifting every morning, and you could just tell that when he first got here, he was bought into it. Mm-hmm. So
absolutely
really cool to see that. And then he had a great fall camp this year, and as long as it took me to learn the playbook, and I got here in the spring, like he just got here in the summer, and he caught onto it just like that. Like it was like second nature to him. So It was really cool to see that and how much time he put into that. So props to him for that. And I'm really excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, that's one thing that the RMAC kind of spoke out about us, how we haven't had a not a consistent quarterback, but we have had two transfers back to back. Last year, our quarterback Tanner Clarkson, who is now the head receivers coach here at BH. He's GAing for the guys there. He's doing a great job and enjoying his job. Tanner's just football, just a overall loves football type of guy, and wanted to stay around the game. And so it was awesome to see him stay at our program and be able to help the receivers improve. But with having Doobie, he also has another year of eligibility. I don't know what his plans are, but being able to have a guy who we can bring in with so much experience already from a Division I program, and a guy who's got just obviously he came from Cornell, he's got some smarts on him. So potentially having him for 2 years in a row would be great, just because 1 year with the program, it does a lot for you, but 2 years with the program will do a lot more. I know that if we had Tanner for 2 years, he would have probably, I'm sure he'd say himself, would have been leaps and bounds more incorporated with the offense and just ready to take that next step. Like, instead of us going 6-5, I guarantee you, we would have had leaps and bounds from where we were last year, just because that's how much that extra year can do for you. I know I'm punting, and my first year here was, I had a solid year, but my second year, I just felt so comfortable. Always, I was able to speak my mind and give my intel and input on when I thought we were in scenarios where potentially we had something drawn up, and I was like, yeah, but if we do this, and they saw my side, and you're just able to
you're more connected with the coach.
Exactly.
Basically. So you have more of an input in that, and that's what being here for a longer time does.
Absolutely.
You get more of a connection with people, and I think the longer Doobie stays here, the longer the more he gets to know the coaches and stuff and gets to know the offense, it's just gonna keep improving. So I understand what you're saying though. So that's a good thing
for sure. So won't speak too much into it because we kind of keep it a buck with the guys and keep it private. But at the end of our fall camp every year, we do a talent show, like a rookie show for all the newcomers and freshman transfers, and they've got to do their own whatever they want to do. They want to do a skit, sing, dance, whatever it is, a show. They're allowed to do whatever they want, but I think Peyton is comfortable sharing on what he did. I thought he did a great job with it, but you can talk about it.
Yeah, so like Derek was saying, we'd transfers and freshmen, all the newcomers from this year. We had, well, first of all, before we get to that, we did our little hike. We went up to up in the canyon, and we all just did a little hike up there.
Community caves. Huh?
Yep. And then we go through a little waterfall, and it's like our rite of passage thing. Like, hey, you finished fall camp, you're part of the team now.
Yep.
And I thought it was like, it's a cool team experience just to go up there with all your boys.
It is awesome.
Walk through the water. You get a little poker chip on it with our team goals.
Yep.
Dap up all the coaches, and it's just a little fun little thing that we do. So
yeah, I think it's also kind of cool because like Peyton and I living here our entire lives, I've done that hike plenty of times
Millions
before.
of times,
I know
yeah.
you have too. So like doing that hike,
you might think it's like, oh, it's the same
it's
thing
whatever.
over.
It's whatever for us, but like seeing people who haven't been around this type of area and done stuff like that before, like when they go up, they like are always taking pictures and videos and like how cool they think it is to be in the Black Hills and like that area. And so it's kind of like eye-opening to see like how people view the place that we live in and like how many people think like how beautiful the Black Hills are.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of cool to like just experience that with people who haven't been on that hike before. And there was probably, I'd say like 60 people who, that was just a brand new hike for them. We do it every year. So, you know, next year to be 60 more people depending on how many we bring in, but
Yeah.
it's just pretty cool.
And I think, like, on top of that, like, I know we've done the hike multiple times, but like it was a different kind of feeling because you're going up there with all your friends. Like, you know, you've done the hike with like a couple of your friends that you've known forever, but like doing it with your teammates, and it's like a new experience kind of. So it's like a whole nother thing. So that was cool. But before that, we did get sweet corn. I don't know who it was from, but they gave us sweet corn with a bunch of butter before the talent show.
Yeah.
And that was some really good stuff. So
Yep.
enjoyed that. But to the talent show, never been a part of an experience like that. It was a really fun time. We didn't do that one in the previous college was at, but
Yep.
so we kind of just, I'm not going to go too in depth about it, but there were some funny ones up there. There were some pretty horrible ones too. Some people, they should have practiced it a little more. They're trying to sing songs with the words too. It's not like they're doing the instrumental, and they were still screwing it up, and they just get booed off the stage and paper thrown at them. So I don't know, just practice it more. That's what I'm just saying for future comers. But I ended up doing the Napoleon Dynamite dance. I got the whole outfit and everything. I got the glasses. I did the Vote for Pedro t-shirt.
Yep.
Had on the tight blue jeans and stuff.
It was good.
You liked it?
It was really good.
I got a couple of compliments from people.
Yeah.
There was about, I'd say like 70% of our team know what we were doing. And then you can see the other 30%
Yeah.
didn't know what the hell was going on. They're like, why is this guy dressed up with a t-shirt on like that?
Yeah.
So the dance was only about 2 minutes. It felt like it was a little longer than that, but
It's a little intimidating going up there in
Yeah.
front of everyone. I remember when I was up there, it was just like, I was kind of sweating, but
yeah.
it's just a little intimidating when it's like if you're a freshman or like a new transfer to where you're in there during the fall, you barely know anyone. For your sake, it was kind of nice because you were here in the spring,
Yeah,
so you
so I
got to know
knew,
everyone.
yeah.
But yeah, it can be a little intimidating when you're in front of 120 people, like counting coaches and everybody. And you get up there, you can definitely see in some people's eyes are like, holy cow.
Yeah.
They've never been in front of this many people before on a stage or something like that. But it was
Yeah,
good.
my dance routine, I looked it up on YouTube actually. It was like 2-minute clip. I watched it probably for 2 hours, and I'd stand in front of a mirror in the bathroom and rehearse it over and over because I didn't want to screw it up because, you know, you don't want to get booed off stage by all your teammates. So did that, ended up pretty good. I got a thumbs up for it, so that's always a good thing. And it was just a fun time. We were in there for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it was a really fun experience. And then we did a slideshow lookalike after.
Yep.
And that was
always good.
hilarious. So it was a good time. So
Yeah.
it was a good way to end fall camp. Just a really enjoyable time. So.
It's definitely a good way to end it on a high note. Puts everyone in a good mood, and everyone's excited for the weekend and just to get back to it on Monday. And I think it puts a great little atmosphere change and gets everyone fired up for the week to come, which obviously is this week, game week. We play the Bearcats. So pretty excited about that. Tonight we got a helmets practice at 6:30. With that being the first week of football last week, we kind of wanted to go out and talk a little about the games that happened overall. I think there was a lot more Division I games than D2 games, and so we kind of just wanted to go over some of those games. But
You want to talk? So we can start. We're gonna start on the Florida State Georgia Tech team.
that was early, right?
That was the one last weekend in Ireland.
Yeah, the first one.
Yep.
Yeah. That one was awesome.
I want to start and say Pat McAfee has totally brought College Game Day back. He did chug 30 Guinnesses on the air, so that was pretty funny to watch. If you guys watch College Game Day,
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
I don't know. It's pretty fun to watch College Game Day now. Again, I hadn't watched it in a while. I woke up that morning and did, and that game was interesting to see because Georgia Tech, not being ranked and going against number 10 Florida State, they played really well.
I called it too. I said Georgia Tech was going to win. I think Florida State is a little. I'm not going to call
Overhyped?
not fraudulent, but I just don't think that they were the team that everyone really thought they were like last year. I know they were missing some guys in that bowl game, but they got beat by
60
by Georgia, and they said they should have been in the playoff when Georgia wasn't even in it. So,
What do you think of DJ Goulet? You see that one stat of him that he had like 0.1 yards through the air? Mm-hmm. Like he was just throwing dink and dunk passes. I don't think that's on him personally. I think it's more play calling and stuff, but
yeah.
I think personally he's going to be good at Florida State, but he just needs
school.
Yeah, I mean, he just needs. It's a stepping stone again for him. It's going to be a new offense for him, but I think he'll improve off that. But
yep. Yeah, I agree. I think that it's tough to come into a new high power offense like that. But I'm a Clemson fan, and so I love him, and I hope he does well there. But
yeah, talk about your Clemson game too.
Yeah, they that was. I knew it was coming. Carson Beck in Georgia is just really, really good, and I think that they're going to stay number one for the whole season, and I'm sure that they're going to be in the college football playoff, and they're going to be a contender. Clemson's kind of, I don't know, they have the weapons, they just don't know how to use them right now. I think their defense has been kind of pitiful the last couple of years. They have guys who are really good, but as a squad, I don't think they operate the best with each other.
Yeah.
I love Cade Klubnik. I think he's good. It's just, I think they need to kind of synchronize a little better. But it's so hard to talk about that when it's week 1 or week 0 technically, and they're playing Georgia.
Playing the best team in the country. Yeah.
So
it's understandable.
I mean, they had a tough opening game, but I think that they'll bounce back and still finish hopefully top 10, and
I don't know about top 10.
We'll see. Hopefully top 10 and make the playoff. Now that there is the extended 12-team playoff, so
yeah. What do you think about the new format too? You like it?
I love it because when I play career mode on NCAA 25, when I'm doing my dynasty, I'll play as a mid-level school and still make the playoff. It's kind of nice to be able to play as what team was I playing as? Northwestern. I was the quarterback for Northwestern, and I led them to a national championship my third year there.
On Heisman mode or rookie mode?
I was on Heisman mode.
Yeah, I bet.
I started on All-American, but I think it's kind of cool to see the game changing a little. It's changed so much in the last 10 years even, because before we had the 14 playoff, we just had the BCS national championship, and we just take the 2 best teams, and you had usually that powerhouse, that Bama, the Georgia,
Notre Dame was always
up there. And then you'd have to figure out who is that second team. You'd have 4 teams with 1 loss, and it was just like,
who are you going to put in?
It's kind of just a gamble, and you got to throw in who you think was going to be the best against them. But I think
it's like a good format.
Yeah.
It's kind of like March Madness. Like, there could be that one game where the number 1 team doesn't play good, and you have a 16 seed that just goes and upsets them. So I think it's a better format for that personally. So
I agree. I also think that it's kind of exposed some conferences too, because it's like, so I'm not 100% sure on the format, but so
they're going to take
who are the 4 teams that get buys? Is it so the winner of the SEC, Big Ten?
It's going to be the winners of the top Power 5 conferences, and then there's going to be 7 bids on top of that for the other 7 seeds, and I'm pretty sure those
or 8 of them.
No, so 5 and 7. They're gonna do the 5 winners from the Power 5 conferences, and then the 7 other seeds get bids for it. I'm not sure how the buys work on top of that, but I just know that's how they're gonna format that.
I'm guessing the top 4 teams that win the conference who have the best records get the buys, and then that 5th team probably we'll play the worst team in that bid. But I think it's gonna expose some
some teams that got to play not very good teams.
Yeah, some teams will have, one ranked game and they'll win that game and then they'll go out, beat everyone. Maybe they'll lose like one game to like a Western Kentucky or like a, West Virginia or something. And they'll still make their bid and then get in. And I think that is kind of be like, oh, okay, well, maybe it'll just be good warm-ups for those teams that are going to play the Power 5 winners. But I just love that the game's expanding a little bit more. It's going to make the season a little bit longer, which I don't have a problem with. More football is better for me.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm kind of excited for it. Let's talk about our South Dakota teams and North Dakota. I mean, let's start with North Dakota State. That was one of the most fun games I've watched in a while. That was so much fun. Your mom was at the game, wasn't she?
Yeah, my mom and uncle. So my uncle's a huge NDSU fan, always been. Took my mom down there. Those two, and then my cousin went. Said it was a really fun game. They said watching Travis Hunter in person was insane. It's just like he's a video game character, and he was making some insane plays.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns.
I think their defense needs a lot of work, but those two and then Jimmy Horn, the other receiver, number 5, on top of that, their offense looked really damn good. So
yeah,
I wish North Dakota State would have won, but it was a good game overall, and it was enjoyable to watch. So it was a good time. Yeah,
we were at practice when it started, but I went to the locker room and I saw South Dakota State was up. I think it was 10-3 or something like that. But North Dakota State, not South Dakota State. I was really rooting for them. Thought they would pull it out. Their quarterback, Cam Miller, he balled out.
Yeah, he played really good.
Yeah,
and then
he was great.
You see Gray Zabel, me and Derek used to play against him in high school.
Yep.
He's got big now. He's a starting left or right tackle in there. It's cool to see just another play that you've played in high school on national TV, especially playing against Deion Sanders and his Colorado team. So that was cool to see.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Little South Dakota thing. So yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. I think that it was a little bit of a controversial call at the end of the game with that pass interference. I think if North Dakota State would have had one more possession, that they would have won that game. With it only being 50 seconds, they also were running off time for whatever reason.
They ran off 5 seconds.
So there's a new rule, just like NFL, where you have the 2-minute warning now. So they're not stopping time for first downs in college football anymore. They are only stopping time inside 2-minute warning during the second and fourth quarter. And so the whoever was doing the time was struggling because they kept having to reset the time. And they weren't even resetting it correctly, and so they ended up kind of jipping them, and they took away it was between 5 to 10 seconds for them throughout plays, which that adds up to a whole extra play that they could have had.
I think they should have had one more, and they got down to the 5-yard line on that toss. So you never know though. You never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, because he caught that ball down there. Yeah, and then the time would have stopped, and they would have one more play later on. I think that they could have put it in. I mean, they were really struggling with containing their quarterback. He had, I think, it might have been 2 scramble touchdowns. I'm not quite sure. I know the last one was just like the biggest hole I've ever seen. He just hit that thing, and there was no one within, 10 yards of him. But that was an awesome game. I haven't really been that excited to watch a game in a while. That was actually the most viewed. Was it on Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday.
Yeah, it was Thursday night. So it was the most viewed Thursday night opener on ESPN history. I think there was it said at the max there was like 6 million people viewing it on ESPN, which is the most they've ever had. And that's not even counting the people streaming it, because it's they're kind of doing it weird this year where you have to have certain streaming apps in order to watch it. And it's like, I can't even watch it on Midco anymore and just look up to the game. So you have to find ways to stream it. But talk about the other game, South Dakota State. They played OSU,
State,
which was a good game. I mean, they got beat by 24. They played the number 1 running back in all of football, Ollie Gordon, which I think you look at his stats minus carries, he had 104 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he had 27 carries. That's really not bad for South Dakota. They limited him to, what is that? Do the math.
About 3 yards a carry, around there.
Yeah, something like that per carry. So I mean, that's not bad at all. It's just he's a powerhouse. You're going to give him the ball in the red zone, and he's going to score. And then when you've got a solid quarterback like that, he's also going to score. But South Dakota played really well. Wild, the receiver,
Griffin, yep.
Griffin Wild. Yeah, he had a great game.
We played him in high school too, so
Yep.
yeah, he had a great game.
Who do you play for again?
He played for Sioux Falls, the new school, Jefferson. Yeah, so yeah, he did a great job out there, and like I said, the score might not say it, but they did play a really good game, and they're only an FCS team playing a top 25 FBS team, especially in Stillwater. So that was cool to see.
Yeah, I really like the new how a lot of these FCS schools are like starting to kind of challenge FBS. They're like, we don't care that we're FCS. Like, if you're gonna pay us all this money, we're gonna come there and we're gonna beat you. And so it's kind of cool to see that.
Just like Montana State going to beat New Mexico State. Yeah,
that
or
was
New
cool.
Mexico. Yeah,
I think over the next couple of years, there's going to be a bit of teams that are going to start playing these higher level schools and beat them. And so I think that South Dakota State, NDSU, Montana are in that awkward zone where lower level high teams like Fresno State or like West Virginia don't want to pay them because they're like, they might beat us, but then schools like the teams they just played, OSU, Colorado, are like, we'll schedule them because we can pay them, but now they're actually challenging them to really, really good games, and so it's kind of cool to see. We also just saw the team we play week 2, St. Thomas. They just took on University of Sioux Falls, which is a pretty solid level D2 school out of the east side of South Dakota here, and Sioux Falls took it to them. It was 35-3. They ran all over them. I think they had over 300 rushing yards, and they took it to them. So I don't know if we'll use that for maybe an idea of what's to come, but I thought that was pretty cool to see a D2 team beating a D1. I don't know that there was any other one because I know Northern played USD, and it was a tight game in that first half, but then USD I think figured it out, and second half they took off and ran with it. I think they won by like 30 something, but it was cool to see a D2 pull out and beat a D1 as well.
Can we talk about Iowa scoring more than 10 points?
Yep.
Too. They won. I mean, they did play an FCS school,
Yeah.
but still, I've never seen Iowa in the past 2 years scored more than 10 points, and 40-0 is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, Cade McNamara played well.
Yep.
He
Finally got an offense going.
Yeah, 3 touchdown passes, which I don't know the last time an Iowa quarterback has done that. So it was cool to see.
And then Cam Ward on Miami going into the swamp playing Florida. He looked sensational out there. Almost 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he just looks like he's effortless when he's playing out there. He's kind of just out there playing ball, nothing to worry about, and they throttled Florida. And I mean, I thought it was going to be a little more of an even match, especially with how tough it is to go play in Florida. But it was a great game for Cam Ward in Miami, so they looked really good. And then, I don't know how to say his first name, but McMillan on Arizona, the nickname T-Mac.
Yeah.
I think they should make a new name for him because there's already one T-Mac. But 304 yards and 4 touchdowns on 10 receptions. He looks sensational, and he's got to be a top 10 pick. What do you think?
Yeah, he's solid. I remember watching him last year. He kind of was the backbone on Arizona's offense who, he'd get the ball in his hands, he'd do something special. And so I think that if they can continue to feed him like the way they did against New Mexico, they'll see a lot of success this year. And it'll be a lot of fun to watch. For sure.
And a school record in the first game of the season, school to see too.
304 yards. It's crazy.
It's insane. And then
wild.
Yeah. USC LSU, watched that game last night at my brother's house. It was a great game. USC, their defense finally looked like somewhat put together because last year they just fell apart. I mean, they had all the offensive pieces, obviously, with Caleb Williams and that, but their defense played a lot better than what they had in the past years. And then their offense looked really good with Miller Moss. I mean, he's been sitting behind Caleb Williams for 2 years, and you can just tell that he learned from him. So that was cool to see. It was a close game, but it was a good game. And so
Yep. And then, I mean, to close out talking about football, quick shout out to our hometown, Spearfish, South Dakota.
Oh, yeah.
Spartans, they got a dub this week. Congrats to them. It was so I think this was the second time they've only played Pier.
No, T.
Sorry, not Pier. I say Pier. T in school history. It was cool to see them pull out the victory. on Friday night. Last year, I know that T was really solid, and so they knew it was going to be a tough game. I don't know, Darren, you want to talk a little about that? About that?
It was pretty exciting.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Kids played hard, and it's good to see all of their hard work pay off for them.
Yeah.
Like you guys
Yeah.
know how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was cool to see because, in years past, you see a East River school, you're like, oh gosh, it's gonna be a tough one to watch,
Which it always is.
Yeah, but
They're always good.
yeah, seeing the boys go out there and play, and they played really well too. There was plenty of times where they could have given up on plays and stuff, and I had to watch the whole game, and they looked really composed out there. They knew what they were doing, so it was really cool to see that.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing.
Yeah,
good
it's
thing
awesome.
for them.
I think that Spearfish over the last couple of years, since I graduated, has flipped the script and has really put a good culture to their name. And I think that what they're doing is exactly what they need to be doing. And I think that they just had a head coach change. I really didn't know it's Coach Teason, right? I didn't know Coach Teason too well. I know that he used to coach at Lee Deadwood, but came over and helped with the defense, and now is the head coach, which seems to be doing a good job. He took over and, kept it right on tracks like Wademan did. The last, what did you have your senior year, 5-4 or?
Yeah, 4-5 or 5-4. I can't quite remember.
I think same record last year, right? Like that.
Yep.
And so starting off 1-0 against, a team who was ranked top 4 in the state last year, I believe. Did they make the state final last year?
No, they were.
I couldn't
damn
remember.
close though.
Yeah. But just a team who's always been super solid is really cool, and I think that they'll see a lot of success coming to them these next couple of years. I hope to stay around here in the hills when I graduate and be able to help coach, because that's what I'm going to school for. I think it'd be cool to be a part of that success, potentially give back to the school and to the coaches and just the people who have given so much to me and put me in this position to where I'm at today, and just given me such a cool opportunity to be where I'm at. So
big shout out to them. Yeah, it's cool to see for
shout
the
out
talent.
Darren.
Yeah.
Put me in the position where I was at for defense. So it's just pretty cool to see them have that success again. I know that when I graduated, I really wanted to emphasize it on a lot of those young guys to go out because their strength in numbers. You can't win a football game. You can't be successful when you got 20 guys on a team. It takes more than 20 guys. And so having those guys out there, I think Darren was saying there's over roughly 50 guys on the team. That's a lot of good numbers for Spearfish, and that's just more than we've had in years. And so having that success to come back is pretty cool.
Yeah, and you can see how it builds off of that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of studs on the team too. They've put a lot of work in the weight room. I've seen them get pretty big this summer. It's no joke. They put on some muscle, and so that's really cool to see that they've started to introduce the weight room again, because I know that my first couple of years in high school, we didn't really have a consistent weights coach, and what Coach Santer has been able to do is pretty impressive, and he knows what he's doing. He's super knowledgeable. I had him as a professor last year, the first semester of my junior year, and I learned a lot from him, and I could tell that he's just a guy who really wants to put his nose to the grindstone and get people better and put them in the position where they'll perform the best. And so it's pretty awesome. I hats off to them.
Yeah, on top of that, for Coach Santer, he completely transformed me mentally and physically for college football, just my junior and senior years. So that's seeing that how dedicated he is to that and to the program and to the town of Spearfish. It's really cool because we've really never had anything like that. So when he first got there my junior year, you could just tell from the get-go that he's like, we're going to change this around no matter what it takes. So that's really cool to see. And it's a big stepping stone, and now you can see it coming into place, obviously with that speeding T. So it's a great thing to see. So yeah.
I agree.
Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us, guys. Thank you for tuning in to episode 3 with Peyton and Derek, and have a great day.
Thank you.